Salut YouTube, comment ça va? On est devenu addict. Voilà, je suis devenu addict. Hein. Mon perso, il est addict à l'alcool, moi je suis addict au jeu, quoi. Je suis devenu addict. Putain, on devait lancer Cruder Kings 3 aujourd'hui, ce soir là. Et finalement, je vais relancer le jeu, quoi. Et finalement, je vais relancer le jeu, quoi. Je relance le jeu, bordel. On peut se déplacer comme ça. On peut se déplacer comme ça au lieu de viser là. Ah, mais putain, on peut se déplacer avec les touches directionnelles. Le mec qui découvre le jeu. Mais je préfère avec la souris. Bonjour monsieur. Je vous avais pas vu au début. Tommy le homme. Hein? Tommy le homme?
A simple little cadence. He seems to be making it up as he goes.
La loi c'est moi. Ah mais vraiment ça peut être... C'est ma phrase d'accroche maintenant. Ma phrase d'accroche c'est la loi c'est moi. Je suis le Judge Dredd.
From another planet. Hey there.
Tiens bonjour. La loi c'est moi.
You sure are, my man.
Il a caisse avec véhémence quoi. C'est passe quoi juste?
The jam, my man.
Il balaye l'espace d'un geste de la main pour vous indiquer la horde de camions.
The air from the east is thick with the smell of crude oils, heavy metals and other byproducts of the modern era. You can almost
Taste it. Ça bouchonne? Comment ça bouchonne?
It's a traffic jam for the ages.
Répondez aux questions.
The
Regardez,
street is shut tight,
je vous
no
élimine.
explanation given. Workers on strike, scabs agitating, an all around clusterfuck. Meanwhile, we're all stuck here in long haul limbo for days upon days upon days. Upon days.
Dans les limbes, c'est là où je me trouve. Ça fait combien de temps que vous êtes ici?
Feels like forever. Like I was born on this here roundabout and this was all I ever knew. Just me and the metal and the tires, the oil and the fumes of mazout.
Mazout is an
Mazout.
antiquated term for heavy fuel oils.
Merci.
Man has a barely suppressed performative streak, or he just likes unusual words, or both.
Je kiffe votre style. Vous pouvez me redire tout ça, mais de façon moins empouée. J'ai pas compris. Je te bégue. Qu'est-ce que ça dit? Ah, t'as dit quoi? J'ai pas compris.
Yeah, imagine. It's been a whole week already.
On ne dirait pas comme ça. Hein. Votre complément lui décroche un sourire.
So tell me, what do you need?
Vous n'auriez pas une pièce pour un honnête travail? Le mec, je vais aller mendier à tout le monde, quoi. Parlez-moi de cette grève.
Like, whatever's going on over at the docks. Workers got a blockade set up, making demands, no way in or out.
Going on strike would probably help you dodge a bullet or two.
Que veut le syndicat?
Some pretty wild stuff I hear. Like a giant new power crane in half the company? I forget what exactly. I've heard talk there's a company rep in town too. Like a strike negotiator type. They'd know what's up.
Ah yes, from the Wild Pines. We'll meet her soon enough, I'm sure.
Ok, d'accord, une représentante. Que
They want to
l'entreprise?
keep that money flowing in, my man. Ka-ching.
Il produit un cling pour illustrer son propos.
He doesn't blame them, but he's not on their side, that's for sure.
Maybe you should. Cops don't get paid much and the hours are long. Plus, you can get shot. Why not?
The RCM is a self-managing organization that operates on donations. We promote our own leaders. It would be like striking against your own mother.
Moi, j'ai fait la guerre, j'ai fait la grève contre ma mère. Hein. C'est faux. Je connais pas ma mère. Je connais pas ma mère. Je serais prêt à me soulever contre elle pour défendre mes droits. Je serais prêt à la soulever, à me soulever contre votre mère. Ah, mais je me rebelle que contre ta mère.
Okay. But do continue. You were asking about the strike?
anything else. Yeah, this ain't really my area of expertise. I just do my job and get paid. I have things to do and places to be. All
Comme
us
tout le monde,
lorry
là.
drivers. Camionneurs. You still hang around here waiting for this mess to end. Most have scurried off somewhere to get drunk or high. Or laid. Not that I blame them, really.
Ouais, excusez-moi. Pourquoi vous restez
Not
ici?
my thing. Chasing transient pleasures is a drag these days. I prefer the examined life now.
Bah, lui aussi, lui c'est un
Thinking,
artiste
reflecting,
quoi.
observing.
C'est un routier artiste quoi.
He tries his best to look nonchalant, but there's a rigidity in him, as if trying to conceal something warm and deep beneath a cool exterior.
Qu'est-ce que je lis dans ses yeux?
Ease into it. Don't go too far. This seems like a personal matter.
Vieux, je veux connaître votre âme. Mais artiste mon gars, c'est quoi le souci?
You really are the law, aren't you? I get that being bluntly observant and inquisitive comes with the territory, but it certainly doesn't help with your conversational skills, does it?
Maybe the full-on, direct approach was. Damn, it's tricky business looking into someone's eyes and not doing it wrong.
Ce serait pas une pièce.
He ain't one of us drivers. I know that. All accounted for. Otherwise, I have.
It's easy to see he's telling the truth. He's kept his nose out of the dark stuff.
Analyzing the fundamental structural and psychological conditions of being stranded in the midst of a sea of motor lorries and their sad, despondent chauffeurs.
Hein? Quelles sont vos conclusions?
A sense of surprise there ain't more bodies hanging from more trees.
Les autres transportés sinon?
Oh, high-grade narcotics, illegal firearms, stuff like that.
Oh, bah tranquille. Rien d'illégal quoi. Rien de répréhensible. Illégal si, mais...
Relax. He's merely joking.
Ma rhétorique qui est là pour me rappeler qu'il est en train de faire une blague quoi. Vous êtes en état d'arrestation. Vous êtes en état d'arrestation, monsieur. Police! Vous êtes en état d'arrestation! Ça le fait, j'ai toujours voulu avoir un ami hors la loi.
Ha! No, I'm joking, my man. Found runs a nice, clean business. This haul of cargo is mostly sporting goods. You know, they usually get shipped to Grad and the Occident.
Ah, des
So
survettes.
even making
Ah,
headway in the Il Moran market lately.
le petit con, Cor, là, il était allé chercher son petit fut. On va me faire un cadeau d'un petit survêtement Faln.
We're pals and all, but I can't just freely hand out the merchandise. The bosses won't be happy.
Votre véhicule là derrière de
This
vous?
rockin' beauty. Sure is. Like a rash you can't get rid of. You interested in heavy-duty cargo machinery?
A motor lorry, also called a camion, on Caillou and neighboring islands. This one looks roughed up enough to be some sort of found rust.
Good eye, my man. Yup, she's an old one, but reliable. Me and her spent a long time together. Not unless they've illegalized sports equipment while I was on the road.
The man taps his fingers rhythmically against his arm.
Don't be a stranger.
Il vous dit au revoir en portant de dos au niveau de la tempe. Ok, tu sais pas. Un mec gentil, moi. Les marchandises comme sur en vrac sur le sol. Un gros slogan Humanox. Ouais, j'ai enlevé ma. Nous prenons le sac. Voilà, on part en course. Qu'est-ce qui est marqué là? C'est un mémorial?
An old monument stands in the middle of the traffic island,
Ah, c'est la statue équestre.
pointing toward the sea. It looks as if it's been reassembled piece by piece, secured and mounted in the air with the aid of numerous
C'est de
ropes
l'art.
and rods.
Qui
A
est-ce?
silver plaque on the statue's pedestal reads, I am Philip III, the Squanderer, the
Le
greatest of the
dilapideur.
Philippian kings of Revachol, son of Philip II, the opulent, father of Philip IV, the insane. As you look up, you notice something about the statue. There are some odd indentations on the king's chest
Qu'a
piece.
donc fait ce roi?
Even by the standards of the Philippian kings, old sumptuous Philip was known for his profligacy. Well, he blew through the whole national treasury, starting the decline of one of the penultimate century's greatest superpowers, the suzerain of Revachol.
Ah, c'est lui qui a causé la perte de cette ville-monde, du coup, cette ville capitale.
His own maladministration foreshadowed the fall of the monarchy. During the anti-centennial revolution, an end to his family line and the monarchy on the Insulindian Isola.
Comment il s'est-il arrangé pour délipader le trésor national?
Stories have it that he had his bedroom converted into a treasure chamber, where he stored unfathomable wealth. Krugerrands, bars of gold, ornate. He called it the Sol Aurum. It was obscene.
Solarum.
There were whispers he slept on a huge pile of gold-dipped feathers, like some obese dragon.
Trop
Instead
classe.
of bed, like a normal person.
J'aimerais trop dormir sur des lingots d'or comme un gros arnaqueur. Normal, le roi a tous les droits. Une seconde, c'est des foutaises tout ça. C'est affligeant, pas tant que tu es parti en sucette.
But wait, you haven't even heard about his fabled cocaine addiction.
Oh, mais en plus, il était dépendant à la coque.
You see, old Philippe wasn't just good at squandering the national treasury on gold and ceremonial weaponry. He was also a prodigious snorter of nose candy.
Oh là, la coco, quoi. Mais c'est quoi la coco? Bah, il vient de le dire, la cocaïne, débile. Donc il était à l'accro à la coco, un Camus outrancier.
That's what the revolutionaries said 150 years later, right before they emptied out the royal mausoleum and dumped His Majesty's mortal remains in the Insulindian Bay.
Ah, carrément. Où est-ce qu'il est enterré? Bah, il est plus enterré du coup.
Beneath the cold waters of the Insulindian Bay, the original was blown apart by communards, then further damaged during the landing of the coalition's airships. During the turn of the... Most historians think the coalition's hasty landing may have ultimately saved the statue. If the communards had more time, they would have reduced it. Some years ago, a group of liberal, artistically inclined individuals, designers mostly, thought it would be ironic to restore the statue of the most wasteful ruler of Revachol in the poorest
Ah bah,
part of
des artistes, hein. Bah oui, des
the
artistes.
statue is supposed to capture the moment it was blown apart, like an instant frozen in time, a rare butterfly trapped in amber, floating on a sea of shit.
Une vision ludique et nihiliste.
People in Martinaise tend to disagree, as do many prominent art critics, and thought Philip III, the squanderer, however, with his bronze face up in the air, doesn't seem concerned about what the hoi polloi, not that he ever did in life either.
Quel genre de taille que je vois?
Something with great kinetic energy seems to have impacted the cuirass, around where the heart is. Someone shot him in the heart. Interesting.
Ah, carrément. Maintenant, est-ce que quelqu'un a tiré sur le roi?
Okay, I can see it, but I take your word for it.
Comment c'est où?
Martinez is riddled with bullet holes. This place saw a lot of action during the revolution. But the statue is recently renovated, so maybe a joke? Target practice or a political statement?
On a tiré sur un roi. C'est peut-être lié au meurtre, c'était carrément. Il y en a un, il était tiré sur le torse du pour le par rapport.
Why not? What this shows us is guns aren't too uncommon here, and people still shoot them. Sometimes.
The king stands high above you, surveying the bay.
Du loot. Putain, mais encore un mec là, oh là là. Oh. J'ai gagné un en instrument physique, un débardeur de muscles qui pue la transpi. Yes. C'est de meilleur idéal lorsqu'on n'a pas peur d'exhiber son torse musclé et sa poitrine velue. Peu d'argent. Bonjour monsieur.
The small, wrinkled woman
Ah, c'est une
does
femme.
not greet you. She nods along to something on her rig. The photo, an ambrotype from the turn of the century, as golden as her smile.
Excusez-moi, j'ai des questions à vous poser.
No response, wherever this woman is. Your word.
Wait,
Le temps m'interrompt avant que je puisse faire quoi que ce soit.
she's just a distracted old woman. Better to leave her alone. Why? I just told you.
Ouais, alors? Je parle à qui je veux? La loi, c'est moi. Ah, c'est là qu'il y a le barrage du coup. Ouais, on peut parler à plein de gens. C'est frites ça, du coup? Ah oui.
You see several packaged raincoats fill a low shelf beneath a display of croissants and juice bottles. The raincoats are transparent, except for the big frit. The packages are small, discreet, sloppily stacked, making them easier to take unnoticed. No need to worry about knocking over a display.
Oh, je peux acheter un imperméable pour avoir plus 1 en endurance. C'est bien ça d'avoir plus 1 en endurance. Il y a un distributeur.
The tear machine stands in the corner. A sign says, 1 bottle equals 10 cents. Your bottles clunk into the machine, and the money appears with a
Welcome
Bonjour.
to Frit. Feel free to look around or something. Everything is out on the shelf.
What's that magazine she's reading?
C'est quoi au juste frites?
I don't know. Frit?
Mais c'est quoi au juste frites? Et pourquoi il y a 3 T à frites?
I think they think that the extra T makes it funkier. It doesn't.
D'accord.
The story goes that normal fritta with 2 T's, a men's workwear shop in Vredefort, was already taken. So when Fritta Retail Inc. grew into a multinational corporation, they had to add an extra letter to
Elle.
avoid trademark infringement.
You mean this?
Regarde la couverture où l'on voit la photo colorée de 2 jeunes filles en train de s'embrasser. Quoi? Elle regarde un porno? Un Playboy?
This is Pop Stars. It's got like famous people in it. It's not for sale.
Looks like it also has something called Police de la Mode, featured on page 34. This
Police de la mode. J'approuve, c'est très futuriste. Oublie ça, c'est quoi la police de la mode?
She pops her raspberry flavored, her shoulders tense. She shuffles back only slightly. Bewilderment and repulsion. The lieutenant frowns at you before turning to the clerk with an apologetic half smile.
You mean this? This is Pop Stars.
Looks like it also has something.
It's where they rate different outfits famous people wear. It's kind of funny. They're kind of mean. It's about who's the most stylish.
Montrez ta casquette, je parie que ta casquette remporterait le prix. Alors qu'elle est plus classe, un peu que ce soit quelqu'un du coin. Elle vous regarde paresseusement de la tête aux pieds tout en évaluant la situation.
No, I don't think so.
We are not the fashion police. We're the real police.
Okay. I'm not really supposed to be chatting to anyone, but
Est-ce que Fred possède un entrepôt à l'arrière du
a
Whirling Graves?
warehouse. I don't know. Maybe. I don't really care what Frit does.
Allez, donne-moi une piste, n'importe quoi.
She looks up from.
Fine. Frit doesn't have a warehouse. Just a little back room here. Okay.
Ah, merci. Est-ce que tu aurais de l'ammoniac à vendre?
She looks up from.
Yes. What we have is there. In the medicine cabinet. Go take a look yourself.
Que peux-tu nous dire à propos du cadavre?
I don't really know anything. I mean, I know it's there, but I haven't seen it, so
C'est l'homme qui est décédé?
not really.
Pas vraiment, alors tu le connaissais un peu.
No. I didn't know him at all.
D'accord. C'est combien de temps qu'il est accroché à cet
I
arbre?
don't know really long.
Ouais, c'est rien du tout, quoi. À ton avis, qu'est-ce qui s'est passé? I don't know, ah, blablabla.
I don't know.
No need to worry. It's just standard procedure for us to ask around. If you hear anything that
Okay. Uh-huh.
Peux-tu me parler de la réalité dans laquelle nous sommes? Quoi?
Reality. You mean what reality?
She is like a student unexpectedly called upon by a teacher. Can she answer the classroom question?
Donc je parle de la réalité physique.
I don't know. What about it?
Tu peux me parler de la révolution?
When ordinary people take over the government and demands democracy.
Et la révolution qui a eu lieu à Revachol, peux-tu m'en parler?
Yeah, it happened like 50 years ago or so. Sorry, I'm not very good at this.
C'est quoi la
History,
coalition?
I mean. Our government? Or do you mean something else? Sorry, I really need to finish this article. Cool.
Ok.
A small cabinet on the wall is filled with various medicine bottles, nasal sprays. Their logo is the bloodless rose. Pure.
Just ask me if you need anything from Saint Baptiste. We don't stock prescription meds, but we do have Nosafed, Duramine, magnesium, and Hypnogamma.
Plus 3 santé et la drouamine. Une bouteille de magnésium. Non, on va rien prendre, on a déjà d'huile. On est bon avec ça. Par contre, la perméable...
Several packages.
Here you go.
C'est quoi ça? Montrer un peu.
What is what? A raincoat, you know.
Ah, un esprit de corps. On le mettra pour décrocher le cadavre. On peut pas vendre le reste? Ah, attends, merde, j'ai pas vu, il y avait un truc là.
A colorful display of cigarettes and alcohol bottles line. The bottles wink at you in the light. The smokes too glitter in their wrapping. There, in that dark green glass, all in vain. The great flowing river of warmth, wine, alcohol, beer, alcohol, love, alcohol.
Il y a rien à dire, profiter du moment.
The beauty, the truth, the poetry of it all.
I'm obliged to inform you that both alcohol and cigarettes damage your health, but I guess you already know that.
Tu vois, en plus, ces produits. C'est possible d'acheter des vis sous le manteau, genre de la drogue. De la vodka, de l'intangible. Ouais. Paquet de clopes, ça me donne de l'intellect, mais ça me fait perdre la santé là. Non, c'est bon, merci. On peut pas vendre le reste là? Ah, tout ça là, prix. On peut pas te vendre des trucs là?
Is this about?
Non, mais parce que en fait j'ai pas d'argent quoi. J'ai toujours pas assez d'argent pour pouvoir dormir cette nuit en fait. On parlait à lui là.
Welcome to Revachol.
Camionneur raciste. Ah bah ça au moins comme ça c'est posé. Annonce l'homme grâce à sa remarque ne serait pas à vous mais à Kim. Pourquoi est-ce que vous parlez comme ça mon collègue? Eh mais je connais Revachol, on est à Revachol, j'ai pas raison.
don't you welcome to Revachol me. My grandfather came here from a 3,000-year-old racist isolationist culture, while your ancestors came to this island a mere 300 years ago. Every school of thought and government has failed in the city, but I love it nonetheless. It belongs to me as much as it belongs to you.
Rien à dire.
It's men like you who keep Revachol divided, making it that much harder for everyone to climb out of this post-war limbo.
Ouais, Kim il est énervé là.
What he means is, fixation on the Revacholian nation makes it harder for Revachol to actually attain self-determination.
Vous réduisez à néant nos chances d'autodétermination. Ouais, mec, il y a plus de 2 syllabes, il va être perdu le monsieur là.
Oh, come on, man. I just said welcome to Revachol. It's a lorry driver thing.
Mais pourquoi on est non désolé. Pourquoi ils ont tous un accent français? Oh, come on, I say bienvenue à Revachol. C'est that's the thing we say.
I know exactly what you meant. You think my kind doesn't belong here, that I should watch myself and behave. But you see, I'm an officer of the RCM. It's actually my job to make sure you behave.
Silence. The air between them become. Your partner needs backup. Now's your moment to shine.
Mais trop Kim, vous pouvez compter sur moi, taper sur l'épaule de lieutenant.
You two make a cute couple. You know that?
The lieutenant exhales and resumes his regular calmness.
Whatever you say.
Whatever you say, officier. Il attend l'air impassible, sa cigarette est allumée entre les doigts.
He smells of heavy motor oils and his breath of high tar content cigarettes, probably Astra Whites.
Pourquoi vous avez pris la gueule? Bah parce qu'il est raciste. Qu'est-ce que vous transportez?
Oh, not much anymore. I'm here to pick up some cargo, but the dock workers are on strike, so it's sit and wait on your ass situation.
Waouh. Ah, cet accent français à couper au couteau.
The strike? Oh, they've been at it for a while. A month, 2 months maybe. But this here is just the last week or so. Apples.
La pulse.
It's exactly the kind of thing you'd say if you had something to hide.
Des pommes, vous serez pas en train de me raconter des salades?
Look, as detective. I come from a long line of lorrymen. We got ancient rights and privileges. Oh, I'm here to pick up a load of fucking apples, man. Just regular Koiko picked apples.
Lol.
Koiko may be another derogative for a person from Grad, you think?
Yep, it's one of their main exports. They grow him down South Yekokata. A beautiful place. Got great scenic vistas.
In fact, Yekokata is a desolate wasteland whose name literally translates to Zone of Ecological Catastrophe. It features no scenic vistas and supports virtually no plant or animal life.
Koshko.
Yeah? Says who?
C'est dans le nom Espace écologique sinistré.
Then, I guess they grow apples somewhere else. You can never really tell with those koikos. They're everywhere, except their own homes.
Ah ouais, le gros raciste quoi.
He means the people living in Grad.
Yeah, you know, Gradniks, Gradvolk. Those degenerates from Grad.
Mais pourquoi Koshko? Je vois, c'est une insulte raciale.
Hey, if the name and description fit by the very grace of nature, who am I to say otherwise?
Tu peux voir les pommes?
Did you miss the part where I said they aren't here yet? Besides, even if I did have some, I wouldn't go putting my nose in them, huh?
Ah ouais. Je vois le genre de pommes quoi.
Relax. You've got all you can get here. He probably doesn't even know what he's hauling, even if it is something unsavory. So he'd remain unaccountable.
Toi, t'as dans la poubelle la montre à l'homme, c'est à vous?
Oh man, that's great. Look at that guy go. Haven't seen anything that funny in a while. God damn. Thanks for that, but no, it's not.
He doesn't live in Martinez.
Ouais, vraiment, on a une quête, c'est retrouver le propriétaire de cette tasse raciste quand même.
Oh yeah, they're a big deal. My great-grandfather was a carter, had a royal license and everything. We've tried to hold on to our privileges.
Chartier, bah c'est quelqu'un, des charrettes, non?
Someone with a cart.
Voilà.
What did you think it was? That's how deep into history our thing reaches. Before
Et boueur,
machines.
mais non.
Sure fucking is. We have a guild and everything, huh? Very ancient. Very prestigious. Goddamn right. They've been trying to fuck us out of our heritage in the name of profit. But when they try to trusting street thugs with their goods is going to fuck them right up the ass.
Fuck them, ride them, Indias.
Generations of practice ain't no laughing matter.
Jumps. Un magazine de sport, non, de musique. Ok, donc maintenant. Il y a un mec là-bas.
Scab?
Call me mamana. Manana.
You're hazy on the notion of a scab. Smells like politics, though. Maybe it's got something to do with the flasky.
C'est quoi exactement un
from time
rouffion?
to time.
Le droit au travail!
A kind of a worm, content with mere survival. They come, they want to do our job for shittier pay, screwing over both themselves and us. Everybody loses. Beats me. Somewhere in the ground, I think. Gotta be bloody stupid or freaking evil to scab. Or I guess scared, maybe. But scared of what? Of who? Personally, I'd rather beg than scab. If the gentleman shouting on the street came begging, maybe they'd have gotten something.
Il va aussi de leur parler.
We've explained the matters, but they don't listen. This lot would be reasonable and go home if the big guy wasn't riling them up all the time.
Je suis flic.
I was just messing with you. No one's ever seen a cop scab. Imagine, you cops going on a strike, but then another cop comes in and says, let us cop for less money.
Psst. Show him your stolen card. Now has
Speaking of, what brings the RCM here? To the wild north? Come to see the strife?
Je suis un travailleur comme vous tous, on va les montrer la carte et ça sera genre, mais c'est pas vous sur la photo. Pourquoi cette grève au fait?
Serious business. I'm sure the big boss will be glad to tell you. You'll have
He's a chatty guy. Wants to talk about the strike too. Just can't break the command structure and tell you now.
Je suis un peu à court de fric, tu peux pas me de quoi me donner m'aider.
sure thing, my friend. I can help you out.
Oh, oh, il m'a jeté une pièce
The
quoi.
coin lands into your hand as if it has always belonged there.
Merci.
The swallow returns.
Always glad to help out the RCM. Shame I can't do more. Things are meager at the moment due to... You know, the winter's fat is slowly running out and all. Still better than scabbing though.
Je savais du mal s'en sortir.
Nothing to worry about really. The jam's a bit of a mess, cargo can't get in or out. The rationing is a bit stricter is all. Supply should last the strike though.
Faut dépenser du flous pour en gagner.
Aye, you lost me there, Honcho. But it's okay as long as you're not a sorry ass scab.
Je suis vraiment accusé sur un meurtre.
Murder, huh? That sounds like a lot of hard work. You'd never see me investigating a murder.
En fait, c'est super marrant et c'est très facile. Ouais, ouais. On y est depuis ce matin. J'ai parlé à plein de gens sauf pour le meurtre. À 4 ans que je ne le résoudrai jamais. Je suis jeté, je suis en roue libre et j'ai improvisé à fond. Tu peux peut-être m'aider en me disant qu'il a fait. Allez, tu me dis qu'il a fait et puis c'est bon.
Of course, Policia. It wasn't me. You can rule me out.
He didn't do it. It's the truth.
My friend, I respect the right to roam. The open range awaits. I don't operate in that capacity. I'm not a granter of passage. The passage grants itself.
If it's all so simple, why don't the strikebreakers?
Aye. Walk right past Measurehead? Yeah, the 2.5 meter tall Semini supremacist there. Walk right past him,
Et il me défonce la gueule.
then press the button to unlock the door. Then go past him again, and you enter the arbor through the office. Está. Don't worry, I'm sure it's not completely impossible. For example, you could best Measurehead in a physical confrontation,
Oui, bien sûr.
or you could convert to his Semini supremacist worldview. Or, maybe it actually is completely impossible.
Il est inclus dans la confrontation physique.
Jean-Luc himself would say that
Jean-Luc
has
lui-même.
proven overly heroic for the scabs to convert to. Not enough intuition. Sure.
Sympa d'avoir discuté. Il est déjà bientôt 20h quoi. Une autre enquête grave appuie sur le bouton derrière le dispositif de sécurité. Porte scellée est fermée grâce à un système électronique. Ensuite de crocheter ou de défoncer cette porte. Bon. Descendons. C'est qui? C'est le leader? Le leader de la... Chef des roufions. Et on l'homme vers la porte du port. Sa voix est la plus forte de tous, étranglement criarde pour un homme de son gabarit. La loi, c'est moi.
Hold up and stay frosty, everyone. Cops are here.
Le mâle dominant aux larges épaules se tourne vers vous, il dépasse tout le monde d'une bonne tête.
You here to fuck with us? Beat the honest worker down.
Pourquoi je ferais un truc pareil?
We're here to fight for a cause. Stripes usually have problems with people who have causes.
Oh, je crois bien que bon.
Good. We're fighting for a cause here. Right to work! Right to work! Besides, we're not that different. It helps if people see us talking, cops and strikebreakers together. Shows authorities are on our side. Builds confidence.
J'ai quelques questions un
Maybe
peu.
you should ask them the questions, like why we're not allowed to make a living here. Shame on you! We have families to feed, you piece of shit.
So do we, Scott.
C'est quoi une grève? C'est quoi une grève en fait? Qui sont ces briseurs de
Honest
grève?
men and women with rights to work, to be useful, not toys for corporate interests.
L'homme passe une main dans sa coupe de cheveux militaire grisonnant.
We came here to help the harbor run smoothly in time of crisis. If union fucks don't want work, they ought to let in those who do want work.
I have a question. Why do all these men follow your leadership?
You think they follow because I'm big and loud? No. They follow the rules of the market, the rules of the economy, because they were given a job to do!
C'est quoi votre
We
objectif?
were promised work. We'd be in there, working, if the bastards hadn't shut the gates.
T'es incapable de forcer l'entrée.
Main gate's locked. Would take heavy ordnance to bust it open. Could try to get in through the secretary's office. Door's locked. And I don't mean the scrawny mesk punk either. I mean head measurer. Or whatever he is. Like civilized folk, you mean? These native fucks don't understand civilized.
Lol.
It would be better for the neighborhood if you went home, at least for now, if you can't get in anyway.
No! They will give up eventually. Or get drunk. Leave the button unguarded. Then we charge.
Ok. Ah, attends, il y a quelque chose là.
A lorry stuck in the traffic jam. This big, heavy grab-made machine. The windows are clear. They've been recently washed. You can see a lorryman's cabin with personal belongings, stickers, insignia. The driver has adorned his space with a substantial collection of peculiar paraphernalia. Proclamations about honor, strength. A large metal pendant hangs from the rear view mirror. It is the seal of Royalist era
Ouh, un
revolution.
royaliste.
The back end of the cabin has a small perch to sleep, large ashtrays. There are several suns and a book with ragged edges catches your notice. The front cover features a large, muscular man. The title reads, Man from
bah tiens.
Yandal in the lost city of the Pygmies.
Il lit du bouquin quoi.
Racist nationalist paraphernalia. Not unusual in this part of town. This is our guy.
Ah.
Likely, yes. This guy's proud of who he is. Drapes it all over his machine.
There he is, in front of Rita, smoking nervously.
Looking for something?
Non, non. Qu'est-ce qu'on a? Ah mais du coup c'est l'autre entrée ça. Ok. Ah, un peu la carte. C'est où? Mais il y a encore tout là-bas en bas. Hein. Mais comment on y va? Mais par là. Oh là là, mais il y a du... mais du monde partout. Pitié, les envers remplissent l'air. Bonjour.
Have you no shame?
René Arnoux.
You're back every time you bring out the measuring tape.
René, you're a man with
Ah,
a
c'est Gaston.
world of soup. Please, let's just try to enjoy the game, all right?
I'm trying to, but you keep breaking my concentration. You're old. I can see that. We're both old. Now stop grabbing your ass like it's a girl.
These manly men are playing balls. This is a
Ah, tu joues à la pétanque.
game. Grab a ball and play it. Don't ask questions. Shoot first. Ask questions never.
Moi, je sais jouer à la pétanque. Je peux introduire mon savoir dans le jeu. Vous allez voir ce que vous allez voir. On va la boule.
That's the spirit. Don't even waste your breath asking about the game. They wouldn't know anyway. They're way past their prime.
J'ai réussi. Hein. Qu'est-ce qu'il fait?
Immediately surprised by the ball's lack of weight. No matter, you'll make it work.
Sans la boule.
The cold metal ball is surprisingly smooth against your neck. It has a pattern on it, probably a sponsored ball. Yours would only be covered with bumps of it. Already your muscles are adjusting to the weight, the nervous system calibrating, until you and the ball have merged into a chilly breeze ruffles your hair as you stand there, feet firmly planted.
Qu'est-ce qu'il
All
fait?
sounds, smells,
Mec, la pétanque, ça se joue à distance. Hein.
everything fades until the only thing left is an
Qui suis-je?
embodied pure motion, a fine-tuned locomotor running at maximum efficiency.
La balle, c'est toi. Mais c'est pas un lancer de poids, débile!
Merde! Bordel de merde!
Bordel de merde!
A whorehouse of shit.
Un lupanard d'extrême.
What the hell is your problem?
Plutôt pas mal ce tripsesse droit.
I don't care if you are a cop. You do not just ruin someone's game. It's so goddamn
Une
disrespectful.
seconde. Quoi?
You vandalized our game, son. We can't play pétanque with 5 balls.
À la pétanque? Oh, à la pétanque, je comprends. Je crois que c'était du lancer de poids.
Well, it damn well isn't. It's pétanque. You ruined a pétanque game.
Take it easy, René. This is just a misunderstanding, isn't it?
Of course there's harm done, you orange slag. You are as a goddamn bull.
Sortir la sphère de lancer de poids. La sphère de lancer de poids?
Will this... No, it will...
Thank you, officer. This is really something. Honestly, I think it's better than our old bull, even.
J'avais un accessoire de lancer de poids? Ah oui, que j'avais récupéré au truc d'alter.
Mon Dieu.
Yes, why did you come here? It's unlikely they know anything about the murder.
On dirait que vous jouez dans un cratère.
Yes. The terrain here provides an interesting variety to a familiar game.
Ah, les boules, elles doivent s'enfoncer dans le sol, mon pote. Est-ce que c'est un rapport avec les impacts de balles que j'ai vu dans le coin?
Yes, it was left by heavy artillery fire.
D'accord, c'est causé par un tir d'artillerie, mais pourquoi?
Why what?
Pourquoi l'artillerie a-t-elle été utilisée?
Because that's what happens when communists hijack your country, execute your supreme leadership, and turn your capital into a slaughterhouse. You use heavy ordnance to clean up your home.
C'est qui déjà les communards? Bah c'est ceux qui ont fait la révolution, connards. Mais non, les communards et pas les connards. Vous avez déjà tiré à l'artillerie sur eux?
Sadly, no. It was the foreigners who brought them to their knees. We fought valiantly, too valiantly, so valiantly we got licked. Should have fought dirty, like they did with their suicide sex cult propaganda and mad anarchist women strapped to shrapnel bombs. We didn't though, and we lacked caliber. God bless him.
It was probably a bit more complicated than that.
Oui, alors demandé ici à
Because
Martinez.
this place is a damn beachhead. Had to soften the commies up first. Yes, the military coordinated amphibious landing to take back Revachol. Martinez was used as one of the 3 footholds in Revachol during Operation Deathblow in 08. The other 2 are off in Stella Maris and the Delta. This here is Blood Ground, where coalition boots first made landfall and cleaned those rabid dogs out. Most likely, we're playing pétanque on their mangled corpses.
Ah, sympa.
Blood ground. You got old René going there. Like he isn't hungry enough already.
Ça explique toute cette
Damn
discussion.
right, son. They laid the fire of hell on the city before they stormed it. And it worked, too. The rest of the city got cleaned up, but Martinez they keep as a monument. And now the Union Socialists are practically running the place.
Well, it's your own damn fault. You, we, the coalition, Revachol, whoever you want to blame, never finished the job. Officially, the party never surrendered.
You don't even begin to truly understand the players on the table, let alone the specific circumstances surrounding.
Thinking men have opinions on these things. Present one.
Voilà, ouais, la classe ouvrière, bien sûr. L'élite modérée prépare le terrain pour que la classe ouvrière virulente prenne le pouvoir.
Preposterous! Surely you don't mean it. I'm just sorry it had to be them. After 8 years of fighting those commie hyenas, boiling cats for food and drinking my piss in the mountains,
Quoi?
I would have preferred if the Right Honorable King Guillaume returned through Revachol, or even if that damn clan Frisel had risen from the grave and led us.
Ah, c'est un
Sadly,
royaliste.
not the case. Instead, all that is just, holy, and beautiful in the world was wiped away, and now it's neon signs with toothpaste ads everywhere. Foreign influence peddling garbage and stupid music on them. This is just what the commies wanted. This was their plan all along. This is what they wanted to replace the role of the suzerain with. It doesn't. That was 100 years ago. It had nothing to do with
C'est qui ce
anything.
Frisel?
Damn Frisel. He was the king we couldn't protect. The Carabineers failed him, and the crown. He died in the hands of the Hyperlay.
He slouches as he says that. It makes him smaller, admitting they left the king to the mob.
Il parlait de Guillaume.
A true king in both blood and mind led Revachol before Frisel. He would have been better, but the damn commies drove him into exile.
Some manner of self-deceit is present in his thinking. Sounds like this Guillaume abandoned him, and he...
C'est quoi un suzerain?
Reign is the king. Has everyone forgotten already? They forgot. It's no use talking to you. You were still in Daddy's balls when it happened. When we took our...
Ah merde, -1, j'ai jeté la boule à la mer.
and rode the cavalry straight into gunfire.
Oh.
It's a Bell McGrave, 4.46 caliber, breech loading, Grève shall made.
His moves are quick and precise as he first checks the weapon, then aims it.
This one's inoperable. The bolt spring is missing and the mechanism is jammed shut. Still a beauty.
Ouais,
Where
vous
did you
trouvez.
find her? I'm not surprised. There are probably lots of forgotten wartime weapons lying around here. As for the rifle, I don't know what else to tell you. These BM446s are an antique. No one uses them anymore. The ammunition is impossible to find.
Le statut Philippe, t'es pas le trouver.
Ah, yes. King Philip the Third.
Oh, absolutely. At the mercy of a cocaine-snorting tyrant who emptied the treasury so he could sleep on a...
A superpower, feared and respected. A testament to what this country can be under the leadership of a true king. Someone who knows how to rule
Comment devrait régner un roi légitime?
decisively, without fear of offending the sensibilities of the frail and weak-minded among his subjects. This is something the insurgents never understood.
Je pense qu'Hachette devrait faire passer l'intérêt de son peuple avant le sien. Hein. On est le dernier communiste, hein, je vous rappelle.
Nation is only as strong as its leader.
Ah, économiste
That's why it
social.
was such madness to try to...
Don't get started on that again. What happened, happened.
Il est à présent un peu de lassitude dans sa voix et la force d'entendre sans cesse la même
The Carolinère doesn't
diatribe.
reply, but his entire being
Le
communicates.
sujet.
Right.
Alors c'est blanc. T'entends? Oh là là.
All you observe is a veteran refusing to let go of the past.
This is the uniform of the Royal Carabiniers in service of Frissel the First, Guillaume le Lion, and the valiant
Guillaume le
the
Lion.
Fifth.
Don't you mean Frissel the Fan?
You do not speak his name, Craven, although he was a clown. But he was our clown, ours to ridicule and to mourn.
There's something you missed. You will get to it. Don't worry.
Je suppose qu'ils savent rien sur le meurtre.
Unfortunately, I don't. Unlike most of the locals, I have no qualms about assisting law enforcement. But in Martinez, the union is the law. Cop is a pejorative term. I don't have a problem with policemen.
He doesn't know about the crime. Your time is better spent discussing politics.
If I knew, I would not be afraid to tell you. I simply don't.
'Tis true, sire.
Qu'est-ce que c'est? D'énormes boules? Hein? Qu'est-ce que tu racontes? Ah, il y a le bureau du syndicat qui est ouvert, non? Depuis je sais plus quelle heure. C'est avec le téléphone qui doit être dans leur bureau. Ouais, il y a du monde, eux. Ouais. Il faut que je revienne le soir, du coup. C'est fermé encore? Bah, c'est fermé. Quand je voudrais chanter, il faudra que je revienne le soir. Un peu plus de public. Attendez. Carte. Le pendu. Endurance. Ça joue sur l'endurance. Du coup, on a vu que... Et ça pour augmenter l'endurance. J'ai récupéré mes plus moins 2 d'autorité. Tentons d'enlever le cadavre du coup. Enfin. Il nous manquait quoi après? Il y avait un autre truc avec de l'endurance. Non. Le Toujours là, lui. Classe.
There he still is, looking right through you with his white eyes. The
Votre
body
merde est
below
compressée.
is entirely dead. As you breathe in, the odor comes over you. It's a spell of the mind telling you to run, and your stomach to wring itself empty.
They do after 7 days, yes.
The man before you is naked, but for a pair of underpants and enamel boots. His skin is greenish, marbled with decaying veins, and blotched by lividity. A fading web of tattoos covers his chest and shoulders. The cargo belt used to fasten him to the branch above appears industrial in strength.
Diminuez les bottes.
The material appears to be ceramic. Its clean white stands in stark contrast to the decaying flesh above the knee. The man wore thick polymer socks, probably for padding. A fine array of interlocking plates covers them. Delicate and fragile, they feel alien to the world around you, out of place somehow. These are clearly not boots. They're armor, possibly part of a larger set.
Oui, c'est des bottes d'armure, c'est ça.
Indeed. Technically speaking, these are sabatons, not boots.
Oh, the lieutenant uses a memo technique A6. That's not just any notebook. It's a classic.
Ah, c'est toujours bon ça.
It's clearly some manner of super armor. Or future armor? Super future.
Ceramic plate. Zirconium dioxide, most likely. This is where the make would be. Under the hill. Fair weather. Fair weather model T500 VE. I'm guessing that's vitreous enamel. This is advanced stuff.
Oui, passer le reste.
The locals probably scavenged it. It would be odd if he had more on after 7 days.
Mec, il avait une armure complète.
We should keep a lookout for these species. The armor could yield information. This is one thing he might actually know.
Peut-être qu'il avait juste les bottes. Non, mais Kuno, il est chiant. Ok.
The sabatons dangle off the man's decaying form, ageless and synthetic.
It is. It's expensive. We've requested similar material for our tactical units for years now. The constabularies deemed it too costly. In that time, we've lost 6 men to semi-automatics.
Ah, mais ah oui, c'est pas une cotte de maille non plus, c'est une armure, c'est du Kevlar, quoi. Entre guillemets.
For a full set, about 4 years of wages.
Oh, bah ça va.
For the northwest region of Revachol, an officer's average yearly income is 5,500 rial, unadjusted for rank.
Et sur mon CRN de 5500 réals. C'est beaucoup, j'imagine.
As a wage, it's regrettably small. But for a piece of hardware, yes, that's a lot.
Comment a-t-il bien
That's
plus
for
payé?
us to find out. Mr. Gart implied he was security personnel for the harbor company. This confirms my own assumptions.
Votre rapport initial?
Just something I scraped together from my station. An area report on Martinez. I'm sure you did the same.
C'est un peu trop sophistiqué pour un
I
vigile.
agree. This equipment is way beyond what a guard can afford.
Pas la botte du pied.
A small bell-like sound fills the air.
It's anything but. This material is a kinetic redistributor. It spreads kinetic energy horizontally, from plate to plate, dissipating it in...
Faint, organic lines cover the plates where they separate into smaller ones. These plates then divide into smaller plates until there are hundreds, like whirls of floorboards. The design looks organic, influenced by highly resistant wood materials, like lignum vitae and
Quoi ça me fait penser?
if trees were made of porcelain, this is what their cross-sections would look like. The smooth, glossy surface fractures into ever more intricate. The whirls are in the shape of a letter and number combination. E50, 100, 1000.
Ah, il y a un numéro de série.
Good. Can you read it to me?
Il mouille la pointe à sécher de son stylo avec sa langue.
X54156745678222. Let's lie.
Bah non. On va pas se saboter nous-mêmes.
We have a make and a number. That's something. We can use the radio in my kinema when we're done. Either station can chase it for us.
The stench fills your nostrils as you push.
Stop! Pig's gonna pull his head off.
Brutal!
Ah, c'est pourri comme idée, c'est ça?
You're going to pull his head off.
Ah.
Do it, homo!
Stop obsessing about your sexuality, officer. About to seriously compromise the... What are you trying to achieve anyway? Why are you hanging on to that boot?
Ces bottes seraient super avec mon pantalon à pas de def. C'est une technologie ennemie avancée. On devrait l'étudier pour connaître leurs faiblesses. On est détective, oui ou merde. Il pourrait y avoir des indices dans la boîte. J'ai un serpent dans ma botte. Vous avez dit qu'elles étaient hors de prix. Je pourrais laisser ça au prêteur sur gage et me faire un peu de thunes.
How many clothes do you need? You already found a number. There's no way you're getting them off. All the organic matter in his body has been flowing down into
Ah oui, oui.
They're fused to his feet now. Why do you think the locals haven't scavenged them yet?
You're sure there's a way to peel them off, but first the body needs to be down. And second, it would probably be better if the lieutenant wasn't around.
Refusé par honneur.
All right then. You can pay the hostel bill in honor points. How many honor points have you collected?
Le mec qui comprend pas l'ironie. Les points d'honneur, c'est quoi? C'est quoi?
Processing will take care of them. With the situation in the morgue, it will yield nothing. But we must pick our fights. Should we continue?
Ok, observe le cadavre.
The cadaver slowly twists on the cargo belt, his torso covered in tattoos. The hangman's knot is pulled tight by the weight of the corpse below. Yellow, hard-edged polyester cuts into his neck. This is a steel-reinforced cargo lashing belt, big brother of the regular cargo belt. It's used for tying cargo under six-rotor airships.
C'est une mission d'amarrage utilisée pour des transports aériens de marchandises.
I thought it was used on lorries for strapping cargo to them.
Apparemment, c'est le modèle renforcé pour le transport aérien. C'est ce que me dit mon cerveau.
The local harbor uses 6 rotors to shuffle containers around. I get the sense they use whatever was on hand, without paying much attention to not incriminating themselves.
Donc ce serait de cœur de coup qu'on aurait fait le coup. Tenez vraiment à pas à le voir se carapater. Le corps était renforcé avec du fil en acier. Comment ont-ils réussi à l'accrocher là-haut?
The brief suggested as much, politically motivated by the ongoing strike. Did you not get a briefing?
Ils ont dû oublier de m'inviter. Mon passé était totalement annihilé. Il ne reste rien. Ma mère, l'amour de ma vie, certainement pas un briefing.
Okay, you should ask me for one the first moment we get.
C'est qui m'a proposé de la faire. Ok. T'es vraiment pas le voir carapater.
I was afraid it would be. Thin steel wiring, parallel strands. This makes getting him down more problematic than I had assumed. A noose is one of those things that's easier to use one way around.
Il disait la boucle reliant la cingle à la branche qui la surplombe. Est-ce qu'ils auraient pu grimper là-haut en se servant de l'échelle des gamins? Bah non, on a vu que ça a été
That
instable.
ladder can't carry a grown man. I didn't see any splintering either, did you? I think they lassoed the branch, then pulled on the belt to close the buckle.
The cadaver hangs from the cargo.
Il a mis dans
An
les tatouages.
intricate web of blue lines stretches across the torso, from the right shoulder to the solar plexus. Each time they intersect, a small white star is formed in their crossing. Hundreds of fading asterisks riddle his skin.
C'est pas une carte de la
The
voûte
concentration
céleste.
is highest around his heart.
Ce serait pas un dispositif microélectronique? C'est un emblème national.
Of no nation that I know of. If anything, it reminds me of religious illumination, last or penultimate century. Men who live harsh lives often turn to innocentic worship. But which one? I see no trace of a human. I agree.
Un crissement résonne soudain dans l'air tandis que le lieutenant descend la fermeture éclaire de son blouson
He
orange.
wears a wide leather belt around his waist and a gun holster under his arm. He takes a thin piece of milled aluminium from his coat pocket and pulls it open. Sounds like a sword being unsheathed. A small lens appears.
Shit, Kuno! What the fuck is that?
An instant color camera.
Il sort deux ampoules entourées de métal et les installe sur le côté de l'appareil. Vous détenez une petite fente.
I have only 2 ampoules, so nobody move. I don't want to waste one.
Marque l'appareil photo sur le corps et regarde dans le viseur. Une mise au point est nécessaire,
A
puis...
sound, a shrill flash, followed by the breaking of a small ampoule of glass. You see streams of color pour onto the thick, glossy piece of paper, rolling out.
In case we need it.
Dit le lieutenant en secouant notre papier pour le faire sécher dans le vent glacé. Dessus, la parfaite reproduction en couleur de la poitrine tatouée du défunt. Super cet engin.
Yes, it is pretty cool, isn't it?
There is only one ampoule left. Use it wisely.
It contains insight to the victim's person. By his build, I'd say this was a man of physical violence. The story he wanted his body to tell was important to him. It is his letter, to us. Someone should decipher it. We'll need to show it around.
Je vais la prendre et j'y tiendrai plus tard sans l'odeur du cadavre.
Sure. Just don't lose it.
The glossy-eyed corpse looks
Regardez dans
up.
les
His
yeux.
eyes are milky white and blind to the world, protruding comically from their sockets. There is no one. Dark brown hair grows on his head. His face is ready to explode from the organic processes inside. The death's head grin has passed.
Dis-moi le Maccabée, qui
What
es-tu?
remains is the corpse is dead silent.
Who is he? He is male.
The corpse looks right through you. As you narrow your eyes, the monster before you blurs into a violent mess of green. Only the lower extremities are pink with a dash of blue. His fatted hands, thighs, and his neck, just above the noose. The rest of the corpse appears dark green in the cold spring air.
Je plisse les yeux, Kim. Pourquoi je fais ça?
How should I know why you are squinting?
Plissez un peu plus les yeux sur son visage et ses mains sont roses, les cuisses aussi, le reste est verdâtre.
Oh. You are trying to assess lividity.
The monster comes back into focus, an explosion of color, coursing with dark marbled veins. His stomach appears pregnant with something.
So, what do you think?
Je pense qu'il est mort. Voilà, j'ai résolu les affaires. Il s'est fait tabasser.
I do. Most of them are post-mortem. Maybe even all of them. The delinquents have made our jobs harder with
On
their
l'a pris pour une piñata.
Stop talking in riddles, coin slot.
He means you fucked him up good, Kuno! Fucked him up brutal like!
I think he was upright immediately after death. Blood has gathered in his hands and feet, and his neck. The noose acted like a tourniquet, keeping the blood in his head. The hypostasis here is in tune with the hanging. That's what I think.
Là, vous voyez pas l'heure qui tourne, mais il est déjà 21h dans le jeu. Ouais, ça m'a tout l'air d'être un lynchage. C'est pour dire qu'ils l'ont déplacé après sa mort. Bah oui, du coup, c'est ce qu'on a par rapport aux traces de pas.
There's always a chance. We should check for ligament marks on his neck to see if they're in tune with the belt. We'll have to get him down first.
A pool of blood and feces has eaten into the frozen.
The victim appears to have contained no more than half a kilogram of digestion at the
The fuck he's saying?
Talking about shit.
Peut-être qu'il était allé aux toilettes. Ouais, bordel, c'est vrai, je suis une. Vous retournez beugler.
Did we? I don't feel lucky.
Je pense qu'il est mort.
I agree.
Yes.
His personality is no longer a part.
Totally dead.
Sa personnalité ne fait plus partie de l'architecture du monde. Il y avait un temps pour ça qu'il a pris fin, voilà 7 jours. Non, mais faut pas dire ça, c'est trop profond. Ce mec, on le reverra pas. Plus mort que lui, il n'y a pas. D'abord, c'est quoi être mort? Eh oui.
That sounds about right, yes.
But there is no breath to catch. Only the cadaver filling the air and your nostrils.
Are you sure we finished the preliminary examination of the cadaver? We might miss some of these things once he's done.
Eh ben, oui. Mais je gagne des points de vie max. C'est marrant ça. Ben oui, non? Oui, on a tout vu.
The cadaver slowly twists on the cargo belt, his torso covered in tattoos, and extremities blotched pink and blue. The hangman's this is a
Airlifting. I thought the local harbor uses 6 rotors to shuffle.
The cadaver hangs.
Ah ouais, c'est bon.
The steel reinforced belt presents a unique challenge. I brought chain cutters, but I don't see a good angle.
He doesn't actually think the challenge is unique. He thinks it's frustrating, annoying, and harder than he thought.
Ah
The
bah, oui.
cadaver is a good 1.2 meters up. Neither one of us can reach the belt without assistance. And even if we do, there's the question of cutting the airship strength material.
Alors, j'ai gagné un niveau. Est-ce qu'on n'allait pas chercher de l'empathie niveau 2? Au moins comme ça c'est fait. Moi je pense pas mal. Voilà, comme ça empathie niveau 3. Voilà. Pour scier la branche. Ça m'a l'air d'être bien galère, oublions ça. Laissons-le, on le laisse là quoi. Peut-être utiliser notre arme pour le faire tomber. Bah non, on va pas tirer sur la corde. Pour aller demander de l'aide au port. Eh mec, vous pouvez nous aider à descendre le mec que vous avez tabassé, tué et pendu, s'il vous plaît? Pour scier la branche.
Climb up there and saw the branch. There has to be a less risky way, with less falling down of trees.
Yeah! Bang bang time, pig! Shoot his head off!
How?
En tirant là peut-être désigner la branche. Visez la sangle, la balle devrait la sectionner.
It absolutely will not, officer. That's not how physics work. It will.
Yeah, now we're talking.
They'll miss! The pigs will miss, Kuno!
Sans la mauvaise idée à plein nez. C'est bon, laissez-moi essayer. Laissez-moi essayer, je suis pas bourré. Il vient dire, laissez choisir. Moi j'ai rien dire.
Silence. With his and produces a lightweight firearm. He drops a paper cartridge in the barrel, separates the scouring stick, and gives the cartridge 5 tucks, securing it in place. That's a Kiel A9090 Armistice, mass-produced muzzleloader, ascetic, frugal. He then steps back and assumes the fellow's desk position, taking aim.
Descendons, fils de pute!
Eye twitches, his finger.
Non, laissons se concentrer.
He's gonna fucking miss!
The kid's voice is drowned in a shrill blast that echoes off the walls of the surrounding tenements. A cloud of smoke slowly.
God damn it.
A lot of things were wrong with that shot. The fellow's desk was the wrong choice. His shoulders were raised, but above all, he kept.
Fucking idiot! Mookaba ass!
Kuno could have hit it easy, but then Kuno's not fucking handicapped, is he? Kuno's sorry too. Kuno feels sorry for.
The lieutenant doesn't say a word, just looks
Reprenez-vous!
in his hand.
J'essayais
No,
peut-être.
we are lucky as it is. We didn't break anything, and the victim remains uncompromised. Any more mistakes could put us in an unfortunate position with the locals. We have eyes on us. I didn't do us any favor. I have to say, it's beginning to look unlikely we can get him down without.
You know, you don't feel like too bad of a shot yourself.
Je me sens pas trop mon chaud avec un flingue. On peut essayer de tirer pour le décrocher.
It's bad as it is, us shooting firearms like punks here. Go ahead, I'm not stopping you. Just don't hit the victim.
They only have one.
Oops.
This is the sorriest pair of pig.
Officer, why do we only have one gun?
Bah oui. Quand je dis qu'à mon réveil j'avais perdu mon insigne et mon uniforme, ben voilà, j'ai aussi perdu mon flingue. Rien à dire.
The lieutenant follows suit.
Yeah, take it, you fucking banana pointer. Take it and shoot yourself in the mouth.
Il y a d'abord le poids de l'arme.
The cold piece of bakelite and gunmetal is surprisingly light. Your fingers, you've held this, an A9 armistice before. At some point, it probably used to be your choice of firearm.
The fuck are you waiting for, Kuno? Tell him to shoot himself in the mouth.
The buckle comes into focus in your sights. You stand with your feet planted.
Why don't you just shoot yourself in your mouth? At least you won't miss.
Porter l'arme sur Kunos. Dire la ferme.
Or what? You gonna fuck me?
Je mets d'abord l'œil
Your
gauche.
field of view narrows. The branch slowly moves, becoming entirely two-dimensional. The metal buckle.
Look, he's crying. You gonna cry now, fucking faggot? Do it! Set me free!
Don't.
Do it!
Elle déchire sa chemise pour dévoiler sa poitrine. Vas-y. Pressez la détente.
Intense shit, copper.
Fucker waved his gun! It wasn't intense, it was pathetic!
The lieutenant takes the gun carefully from you and holsters it.
Fucking pussy didn't shoot shit, did he? Didn't shoot me, didn't shoot himself.
We need to access the harbor and ask the leader of the union to have it taken down. They have the tools and they have men.
Mais pourquoi on n'a pas commencé par ça?
I did not want us to be indebted to Everard Clare. I wanted us to be able to deal with it ourselves. That is...
You need to suck my dick! Why the fuck am I still alive?
Et qu'est-ce que c'est à toi? T'as rien? Qui est Hervat Claire?
The leader of the union. A dangerous and corrupt man. One you don't want to be indebted to.
Ok. Yes, parfait, parce qu'on sera en dette. Tommy le homme. Interagir, cliché instantané des tatouages.
An intricate web of blue lines stretches across the torso. The pattern still kind of has an ethnic feel to it. Gone
Qu'es-tu? Quelle destination c'est
for
tatouage?
you to discover. You've gotten as someone who knows about history could tell you.
Quelle est en histoire sera en mesure de vous le dire? Quelle est en histoire? Qu'est-ce qu'il fait?
So you tried to kill Kuno's girl? What's up with that? You want to talk about it?
Je pense qu'on a tous oublié ça, Kuno.
What? Bitch! You fucking...
Not all of us. Acts like that stick with you for...
No one's moving anywhere. Do this shit again. And Kuno's gonna climb in your room at night with a knife. Kuno knows where you sleep. The pig who fucked his window up. I'm gonna climb in through that balcony. Put the fucking knife in you. But you and Kuno are good for now. Pals? Shoot that shit.
The determination in his voice leaves little room for doubt in his sincerity. He means every word. Needs to be taken seriously.
And you're back in business with the Kuno. Now what is it?
Qu'est-ce que tu sais à propos du corps?
Kuno does...
Toujours rien, quoi. Du coup, descendons un peu plus au sud maintenant. On va voir ce qui se passe un peu plus au sud. Tant on dirait l'aide humanitaire interdite à la revente.
There are clothes inside. Cheap second-hand.
Don't be shy. These are premium class clothes. Good quality fabrics, best retro design.
Save the economy. That sounds off.
Sur l'économie, qu'est-ce que vous racontez?
Haven't you heard, officer? We've got to be economically conscious. Recycle your cash, keep it in circulation. Don't buy new things. Buy eco. Look around, officer. You see all these premium goods just sitting there, not getting bought. We've got to keep the flow of goods. Is this really the economy we want to leave to our children?
Se fait sauver la mère économie. Mais j'ai pas de gamin. Je crois pas. C'est là de la nature, les économies fortes prospèrent tandis que les économies faibles disparaissent. L'économie c'est un des problèmes culturels comme les immigrés. Écoutez, tout ce que je veux c'est des fringues.
That's the spirit. We've all got to do our part.
You find your hands deep in tattered and faded garments made from weird polyester blends that make your body itch and sweat in all the room. The box smells like cat piss or like an old.
Economical, but also trendy. Look firsthand. Buy secondhand.
Trouvez quelque chose
Keep
d'intéressant.
the economy moving.
Something cold grazes your hand. Synthetic and sleek. A windbreaker. Surf, it says, but also wind, summer, 100% waterproof. And
Good choice, officer. Mega sporty. And it's only $4.50 for you, sir.
Non. Mais je retiens. Je retiens qu'il y a un truc qui me donne du sang-froid si jamais. Les poubelles. Les poubelles. Attends, quoi? Électrochimie. Oh. Des gants qui me donnent de l'électrochimie. Mais chez qui là? La boutique de prêteur sur gage de Roy, de l'argent en 2 temps 3 mouvements. Ah, c'est lui à qui je dois pouvoir vendre toutes mes conneries. Ah, attendez, est-ce que j'irai pas remettre mon blazer disco quand même? Alors, qu'est-ce que c'est? Une sorte de machine, une ancienne caisse enregistreuse. Abuse d'une file, Day est écrit sur la plaque. Un projecteur rentre dans l'obscurité.
you see rows of toy soldiers guarding the rest of the trinkets displayed on the table. Some on horseback, others in rags, others yet in bright blue uniforms. All are stern, big men on big horses, clad in lamella armor and carrying flintlocks.
I used to be very serious about my Franco-Nigerian knights.
Une tunique bleue.
They're not all blue. These figurines also wear gold coats and caps, complemented by orange trousers. They are variously posed, wielding swords and rifles with
On dirait
bayonets.
René le vieux homme qui a joué à la pétanque.
This is what the loyalists looked like, yes, at first. Then they wised up and got camouflage.
Which ones? Ah, those. Yes, they are. I find the paint job a bit gaudy, but children like the bright colours indiscriminately.
Inspectez les figurines en haillant.
This set of soldiers isn't meant to look impressive. A few have rifles, but most of them carry pistols. Some even shovels.
You're probably talking about the revolutionaries, yes? Yes, they are sold. I think their poverty has been exaggerated for effect. When you place them next to the royalists, it doesn't seem like they could possibly win.
Au contraire, c'est volontairement démoralisant, c'est plus réaliste. Hector est impossible face au corps du capital. Demandez à mon pote Gart, ça fait de moi ça a fait de moi sa pute. Je préfère que ce soit plus nuancé en l'état actuel, je ne ferai pas de commentaires.
I don't like either set very much, to be honest. But there are
Why? What's this? A headless man riding a horse? A headless man wearing futuristic tracksuit trousers that say found.
Oh, that's the Headless Phone Rider.
Qui ça?
The Headless Phone Rider. It's an urban legend about a man who rides the streets of Revachol sporting a fawn tracksuit. 50 cents. Bargain price. I'll throw in the tiny cap too. I think he's looking for it, or something. That part of the story has many interpretations. Did I mention that this figurine is supposed to be lucky? Always carry it with you.
Ouais. La tête n'est pas fournie. Apparemment, il est porte-bonheur. Comme les dés, apparemment.
A typical Martinez streetlight sits among assorted floor and table lamps.
Pourquoi regarde,
The light pole has been carefully cut, and the wiring has been redone and attached to a standard indoor plug. This would make quite a statement in your living room.
Dans mon salon, mais je sais même pas où j'habite. C'est un réverbère?
Yes, officer. As you see, it's...
His manner is casual, but his speech is careful, measured. He wants you to know that he has...
Oulé, vous n'êtes
It
dit
was brought to me to be altered.
We are not here to investigate the theft of city property. You have to admit it's rather clever what he's done with it.
D'écouter quoi? Ah, c'est que j'ai fini, je suis devenu le vrai socialiste. Combien pour le réverbère?
700 real.
Waouh!
A bargain, I dare say.
On peut en trouver un chez Coin de rue.
The light has undergone 3 transformations, and every transformation, large or small, has a price. Well, there are the costs of removal and rewiring. The most important transformation is the light's placement among ordinary indoor fixtures, which has adjusted its morphological field. The light became suitable for use inside the home.
Okay, that checks out.
Je fais ce réverbère. 700 quoi, 700 bordel de merde.
Mazovian
C'est bon.
Socioeconomics.
Je suis le dernier des communistes.
0.000% of communism has been built. Evil, child-murdering billionaires still rule the world with a shit-eating grin. All he has managed to do is make himself sad. He is starting to suspect Krasmazov fucked him over, personally, with his socio-economic theory. It has, however, made him into a very smart boy with something like a university degree in truth. Instead of building communism, he now builds a precise model of this grotesque, duplicitous world.
Les répliques gauchistes donnent plus 4 d'XP. Par contre, j'ai pris... ouah, par contre, j'ai pris moins 1 d'autorité et un moins de projection analytique, quoi. Et mon 1 d'autorité, c'est l'autorité des jeux. Facile. Par contre, les répliques gauchistes vous donnent 4 points d'XP. Ok. Je vais faire des réponses. Je vais faire le gauchiste tout du long maintenant.
Chipped, dented, they stare at you with one especially catches your eye. Deep gold and amber plastic with a big old handle on top. A classic boombox that says Stereo 8 approved. Just make sure it works before you buy it.
Ce qui me turlupine vraiment, c'est que est-ce vraiment pratique à transporter pour un policier? Bah oui. Vous êtes certain que ce matos fonctionne parfaitement?
Absolutely. I've tested each one myself with recordings of speech, found sounds and music from a variety of genres. Even is the Harman Welsh W2, made in Vespa, designed in Seoul, plays all reel-to-reel formats, 2mm, 8mm, 12mm. It's even got a little radio in there. It'll set you back. If police work means playing tapes, sure, you can use it for that.
Est-ce que je peux demander des
It's not
trucs?
often that I see officers from the RCM in my... What can I do for you?
His courtesy is not insincere, but he prefers being alone with his projector, just watching the movement of light across the walls of the shop.
Pardon, je crois que je secoue la tête. C'est navrant, on manque tellement d'affectifs dans ces quartiers. Maintenant que la MCR est là, dites-moi, avez-vous des ennuis récemment?
Oh no, not at all. I guess I have...
Who are your customers usually?
All kinds of people come through here. Locals, travellers, people looking for a deal, people looking for a keepsake. As you can see, I have a wide selection of goods for everyone to choose from.
Opiner, sacrée collection en effet. Observez, le parfait est futile à tirer. Le parfait est futile à tirer consumériste. Ah ouais. Je crois qu'une de vos marchandises, vous pressez le doigt sur vos lèvres, a plus de valeur que les autres. Votre business plan part dans tous les sens, vous devriez vous spécialiser, vous focaliser, recapitaliser.
It keeps me...
He's well composed, but underneath it you sense psychedelic processes bubbling. Some kind of drug, maybe.
Et 42.
Okay,
Oh non.
he definitely is high. Whatever it is, you've probably done it, and many other things. Looking at his wares, talking to him, that might give you more clues.
Qu'est-ce que
Let
c'est
me
ça?
have a look.
J'ai la photo fascinante d'un cadavre avec moi. Ah! Finalement, je lui vends la photo.
Anything else you're thinking of selling?
Je vends le mouchoir du temps devant lui, tu sais.
Another time, perhaps. Someone else came here earlier today asking the same question. I promptly sold her the gun you pawned a couple days.
This is a pawn shop, and it did feel as if you've met before. Oh, the lieutenant shifts from one foot to another, alert.
Pas si je vous ai vendu mon flingue.
You were adamant about getting rid of it, officer. Said you were undeserving of a service weapon and I don't like keeping guns around the shop for long. Off the charts photon emissions. The unhealthy...
Au moins, j'ai...
She didn't seem like a policeman, although she kept referring to herself as a pig, which was odd. I found her interest in the gun a bit obsessive, truth be told.
Right, so let me get this right. You sold your sidearm, issued by the citizens' militia, and now a civilian is running around the streets of Martinez with it?
Ouais, c'est à peu près ça, ouais. Elle doit faire partie de mes groupies fanatiques, je vois pas d'autres explications. Elle a peut-être joué les justicières et prouvé qu'elle peut faire notre boulot mieux que nous. Ça me plaît pas non plus, et s'il lui prenait l'envie de commettre un crime, de faire porter le chapeau à la milice citoyenne. Pardon, désolé d'avoir vendu mon arme. C'est vrai que je suis un sorry cop.
It's possible in these parts of town. We ought to find her and discourage her from taking justice into her
T'as où
own.
peux-je trouver ces
My
personnes?
apologies, officer.
A needle in a haystack. There is nothing you can do about it now. You'll just have to hope you...
Of course. I doubt it, but I can try and answer any questions you may have.
Que savez-vous De la récente pendaison.
I do my best to keep my distance from all manner of but
He doesn't know anything.
Ok. Vous pouvez m'aider à décrocher un corps d'un
the
cadavre.
corpse behind the hostel, I assume. I don't have a truck with a mounted. Ask around the harbour. There might be some work.
The pawnbroker's gaze is already fixed on the dancing colors.
Ah, je peux lui parler. Ah oui, c'est vrai qu'il faut que je lui
think
parle.
about calling it a day, maybe. The nights are still miserably cold this time of year. We should take care of that then.
J'ai pas d'argent.
Talk to him anyway. An officer of the RCM shouldn't be sleeping in the street.
Essayons de négocier avec le café du patron, avec le patron. Mec, il est déjà 22h. Attends, mais 2 secondes.
Yes? What do you want to know?
Je sais quelle est la plus
What's
grosse.
there to say? It's just stupidity.
Quel genre de stupidité.
The cop kind. Our precincts can't decide if Martinez is part of Jamrock or the industrial harbor. Yours or mine, as if we somehow own parts of the city. Typical street gang mentality. So we've let the union make a mockery of law enforcement here. And now it's come to its natural conclusion. Well, sort of. It's less a matter of who gets to police Martinez than who has to. It's an orphan district, in other words. I think the dispatch desk just told both our stations about the hanging. There was quite the brouhaha at the 57th, I can tell you that. Time to settle it, they said. Cop off. But I assure you, I am not their finest or toughest, with 102 cases solved. What I am is least interested in a pissing competition.
So he volunteered to represent the 57th, but not out of competitiveness. On the contrary, somewhere in your mind hangs a dark green blackboard. There are 2 columns. One says, cases solved. The other, confirmed kills.
Du coup, vous êtes porté volontaire pour tout faire foirer. C'est pas pourquoi, mais je croyais que vous aviez résolu 104... Mais je croyais que vous aviez résolu 104 affaires. Qu'est-ce que Martinez a de si spécial? Le fait que j'ai été envoyé par mon poste, qu'est-ce que ça dit à mon sujet?
The rows are endless.
Je sais pas ce 40.
Jean Vicmer, Judith Minot, a special consultant. What was his name? Then the rows degrade into green nothingness.
Qu'est-ce que Martinez a de si spécial?
Martinez? Nothing. It's just a puddle at the end of some drain pipe. No one cares about this place. They care about sports. Most of our colleagues don't even know how to get here. North of the interchange doesn't exist.
Du coup, vous avez porté volontaire, je sais pas pourquoi, mais je croyais que vous aviez résolu 104 affaires.
Well, technically. The official record keeper has been known to double count murder-suicides.
A common accounting gimmick used to inflate precinct stats.
Soyons honnêtes, 102 est un chiffre pathétique.
I'm good enough for this case. I'm not here to compete. I came because I had to. My fellow officers, the sergeants in particular, would have made this scene into a circus.
On m'a envoyé pour vous donner une leçon de style et vous relooker. Il n'y a qu'une seule condition, je suis une machine évoluée qui résout des affaires envoyées pour vous mettre la pâtée. Je dois être une augure, un présage apocalyptique envoyé par les miens. Vous comprenez mon message? J'ai probablement un nombre incroyable de victimes à mon actif. Non, t'as que 3 ou 4, je crois, on avait vu.
A good joke.
Oui, une blague. Je vais seulement vous humilier et vous écraser un peu. C'est une blague, bien sûr. Je n'ai nullement l'intention d'être en concurrence avec vous. Bien sûr que c'est une blague. Vous m'avez vu. Vous avez résolu plus d'une centaine d'affaires. Comment est-ce que je pourrais être à votre hauteur? Apparemment, on en a résolu beaucoup plus, nous.
It's good we said these things. Was there anything else you wanted to ask about the competition? If not, we should move. Yes, it's a wholly pointless matter. Forget I ever mentioned it.
Look at you. It's because you're a failure. They sent you to slight Precinct 57.
Ouais, non, c'est pas possible.
Just think about it for a second. You're a raging alcoholic who showed up 3 days late wearing piss-stained disco garb. You weren't sent here to win.
I've considered it.
Ah, ok. Alors c'est vrai.
It would be immensely ugly of them, not to mention unprofessional. But I also think it's somewhat unlikely. I checked the records. This jurisdiction dispute, who polices Martinez, reaches back to the 30s. It's as old as my station. And all this time we can't decide who gets Martinez? I think, yes, both stations would prefer a win.
Ah, alors vous êtes l'élite de votre poste.
Safe? No. But you're old. You've made it this far. Something has brought you through. We've only just started working together, so I don't know what it is yet. So no, I don't think they sent you as a joke. And even if they did, they are in for a surprise.
No response. He's having trouble processing it, believing it even.
Have you tried concentrating on something other?
There is a sudden, harsh edge to his voice, like he's tired of hearing about your personal affairs.
C'est quoi le problème avec ma vie privée? Ben sur quoi je devrais me concentrer alors? Et j'ai oublié même les informations les plus basiques concernant cette organisation à laquelle on appartient. Pouvez-vous m'aider? Je crois que c'est un problème d'ordre médical. C'est quoi le problème avec ma vie?
Not a fan. It's just the nature of lieutenants.
The RCM deploys a self-styled structure called the Decomptage as its chain of command. Every lieutenant is responsible for 2 sergeants and 8
Pourquoi je
officers.
devrais me
That
concentrer alors?
means the average
Try work. The case at hand. It can work miracles.
J'ai oublié même mes informations.
We should get through this day first. Off hours begin at 9 p.m. If you're still having trouble then, I can give you an orientation. Focus on other people's troubles, not your own.
a moment passes.
Sur le balcon de Venez après 22h. À propos de l'affaire. Interrogé à propos de l'affaire? Bah, je viens de lui parler là, à l'instant. Il m'a rien dit.
Yes?
Parlez-moi de
What
l'affaire.
do you want to know? Ah, yes. The case brief you missed.
Allez, voilà.
Now I remember. 3 days ago, the RCM Emergencies Desk received a report about a security guard who was found hanged in Martinez. An anonymous caller said there was a dead body behind the Whirling in Rags hostel cafeteria. The cadavre. During that time, the victim had been stripped of his belongings. The caller did not identify him, but used the word lynching. There is an ongoing labor dispute between the local dock workers and the logistics company Wild Pines. I was told we should approach the death.
Mais
as
est-ce
part
que le
of this
briefing
dispute.
parle de l'identité de la victime?
A security guard or worker of some sort hired by Wild Pines. This was just hearsay from Martinez, of course. We need to find out the truth.
Pourquoi on ne sait rien sur la personne qui a appelé?
They didn't identify themselves in any way. The tone was muffled using a device of some sort. The desk could identify
Pourquoi cette personne
neither.
n'est-elle pas révélée son
There's a
identité?
strong prejudice against involving the RCM in what's seen as union matters. The dock workers union is the de facto police in Martinez. Now it appears they've started executing too. We cannot allow that.
Hop, excuse-moi. D'accord, oui, je comprends tout maintenant.
Just to be clear, we are police officers. It's our job to find the killer. That's the case. Uncover and arrest the killer. You mean like a brief? Do you want me to brief you again? There's no reason to wing any. 3 days ago, the RCM. During that time. Okay then. Was there. Good.
Bah, sortons. Après une nuit de santé, je récupère toute ma vie et ma santé mentale. Ok. Écluse hors service jusqu'à mercredi matin 7h15. Ah, pour revenir mercredi après.
A couple of indicators. This panel usually closes the water.
Pas avant mercredi 7h15. Partons à l'intérieur. Re,
Can I help you?
il y a pas de l'argent que je vous dois.
Yes.
Nous,
Have
si
you
on pouvait
got
pas
it?
faire une sorte de petit argent pour ce
Does
soir.
that arrangement include you paying me what we already agreed you owe me?
Dommagerie demain, je suis un flic rigolo. On se légit dehors, je vais crever de froid à cause de petits jeux d'argent à la con. Allez mec, après tout ce que j'ai traversé. Kim s'apprête à dire quelque chose, le laisser se
I
trouver.
understand your predicament as the manager.
However.
I feel I must remind you that we are here to conduct an important investigation that also affects your business.
Forgive me for saying this, but your colleague seems more committed to drinking, and I mean no offense. It's really nothing personal. I just have to protect the interests of this establishment.
Passez-vous, j'ai tourné ma clé, c'est le mec en mode je vais squatter hein.
Not until you bring me the money.
Okay, I might have something in my motor carriage we can use when you're done here.
Oh, Lieutenant, we're done here.
Ah, je vous ai redevable mon cher Kim. Je vous rembourserai, c'est promis. J'ai trouvé le vendeur, c'est bon.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone.
I have something here we could sell. Look in the back, and the suspect...
Transport enclosure. Regular people just call it the cage. The cage at the back of the motor carriage looks rather uncomfortable. 4 shiny hubcaps are...
I confiscated this for a little while back. We can take them to the pawn shop down by the Martinez Canal. There are spinner hubcaps, frivolous things you put on your wheels. When the wheels come to a stop, the caps keep on spinning. There's no real use for them, it's just for vanity.
Honestly, that sounds like an amazing physics demonstration.
A couple of weeks ago, I stopped a young man for going slower than the speed of traffic. Turns out he was some coalition official's son and high.
Donc vous l'avez pris, c'est Jean-Luc. C'est pas de la corruption ça? Je comprends, j'aurais fait la même chose, ils sont fascinants.
That they are. I was going to take them into evidence, but they weren't necessary for conviction. He never asked for them back.
Oh, vous avez un télé sur votre machine.
No, that would be silly. I
Ah
don't know why I kept them. It doesn't matter. I couldn't put them on this MC anyway. A cop with spinners. That would be outrageous.
Oui, scandaleusement cool.
He flashes a smile, barely visible in the dark.
C'est vrai que vous devrez vous en séparer à cause de moi.
As I said, they are useless anyway. I should have remembered I have these earlier.
Merci, j'apprécie votre aide.
The lieutenant nods as you take the spinners.
Combien? Non mais c'est votre argent ça monsieur. Hein. Vous êtes d'accord, vous prenez la moitié. Hein. Bonjour.
Greetings on this fine night. What brings you? The pawn shop is always open.
Quoi est-il dépensé? Si oui, qu'a-t-il pris?
Nope, still no clue. You obviously haven't been doing enough drugs.
Yes, we'd like to sell these.
Roy takes the hubcaps from the lieutenant and inspects.
Yes, These are very, very good. Did you defraud some foreign prince for them? Jump a mesk banger?
No one was defrauded or jumped, I assure you.
Of course. I meant no offense. 200 real.
Thank you. Here's the 100 real you need for your bill. Do not waste it.
The rest is for him, to compensate for the pain of...
Anything else you're thinking of selling?
J'aimerais me vendre des flingues.
Another time, perhaps.
Non, en vrai, je peux pas vendre mes fringues. Ils ont tous des stats bien en fait, donc je vois pas l'utilité.
Wow, a very large red t-shirt with an impressive print. Oh yeah, the print depicts a muscled man striding toward you, a giant sword in each hand, encircled by burning embers. Behind him is a cluster of cabins engulfed in flames. Beneath him are the words, Heimdall burning. The antlers on the hood of the man's cloak and his piercing blue eyes are familiar.
Sentir le t-shirt, ça va puer. Qu'est-ce que c'est ce t-shirt?
It's the man from Heimdall.
Walking away from his burning village. Yes.
Je suppose que je suis censé savoir qui est l'homme de Heimdall, mais j'ai absolument peur de la mort et j'ai besoin d'aide pour recoller les morceaux. Rappelez-moi qui est l'homme déjà?
The man from Heimdall is the hero of a series of popular books based on a fictional version of Kotla. Mostly what is nowadays. In fact, most people don't think that man from Heimdall ever really existed.
Heimdall isn't a real place.
Neither is the man a real man, of course. But both the man and Heimdall are an ontological necessity. But hey, it's not worth getting...
Wow, what?
Vous savez que l'homme de Heimdall a récemment existé?
I mean, even if the man from Heimdall didn't exist before the adventure novels, the stories have made it so that he had.
Okay.
You sound skeptical. It's not that complicated. Besides, I've been to Kotla, though not quite as far north as the Heimdall, and watched northern lights travel across the sky.
It's for the best, because Heimdall is not a real place, and his theory isn't exactly incoherent, but its logic does suggest some unusual neural activity. Smells like worn cotton with a side of flea market or trash bin.
Sniffing is okay, but please don't try anything on. Can't have you leaving your photon emissions in the fabric of things you're too real.
That's dirt cheap.
But why?
Parce que je suis un flic fauché sans un centaure en poche. L'homme de Heimdall est une superstar et je suis une superstar.
I suppose that makes sense, yes. Please.
Allez. Autorité -2, allez. Par contre, instrument physique, des pecs qui en jettent, une saga sans fin. Ah, c'est du stuff. C'est du stuff haut level là. Et allez, 2 pièces d'or de sauver, 2. Tenez mon chien.
Can I help you? Yes. Well. Great. Thank you, officer. That's all I wanted. Payment for services rendered. If you continue to stay here, I just ask that you please pay your... I'll unlock the electronic lock to your room. All the doors lock automatically at 9 p.m. Please pay for each night in advance starting tomorrow. 20 real per night.
20 réels par nuit. Bah putain.
I'll take a room here too.
Of course. Always happy to have officers from the RCM as guests. Anything else I can do for you?
On va voir. Dépayez 20 réels pour votre chambre au Whaling. Si vous ne le faites pas, elle sera verrouillée après 21 heures. Tant que vous n'aurez pas d'autres droits ou de séjourner gratuitement, de le faire tous les jours. Allez, on trouve un endroit où dormir gratuitement du coup. Alors, j'ai gagné un point. Qu'est-ce qu'on irait monter? Qu'est-ce qu'on va monter là? Est-ce qu'on n'irait pas plutôt chercher un... je sais pas. Je sais pas qu'est-ce qui pourrait m'aider là à monter un peu là. C'est quoi un peu mes quêtes les plus là? Empathie, suggestion, frisson, instrument physique. Moi, je pense que c'est qu'une partie de la map ça. Alors sur le balcon. Toujours en train de se laver l'autre là? Allô?
The door is closed. Still no answer.
Topman est toujours sur sa douche. Du coup, tu voulais discuter?
Yes.
Hein? Kim peut répondre à vos questions sur l'affaire et sur la réunion sur le balcon du Venez après 22 heures à la fin de votre journée. Non. Pas dans le cul d'une vache là.
This is the door to the room.
Just a moment. You had some questions earlier, I believe.
Mais là, j'ai pas perdu de vie. Ça sert à rien d'aller me coucher
Air
ici.
outside is brisk. The lieutenant is silent for a moment. He listens to the traffic hum. Then,
Where shall we begin? We should talk about the investigation, first and foremost. But I also remember you wanting to discuss the
Je sais pas que vous
RCM.
fumiez, Kim.
I have a cigarette every night when I go over my notes. It...
oh man, he looks so devastatingly cool with that cigarette.
Ça me donne envie de fumer. Non, non. Comment il vous donner si cool,
You
Kim?
mean this? This isn't cool. It's an unnecessary trial of will and unhealthy.
Yet, were he to quit, he would lose the cool factor. This man relishes his cool quite a bit below it all.
Bon, ça dérive, il faut reprendre la conversation.
Yes. It's been a long and even...
Quand c'est vous du roman, c'est du
Well,
roman.
we inspected the victim's body, so that's good. It was not easily... I would say our initial inspection was very thorough, and we have solid leads to follow up on. The body is still hanging from that tree, which is unfortunate. But we performed a thorough search of the premises of the crime scene.
Faut généralement commencer par examiner la scène du crime et retirer ensuite les cadavres. Peut-être de pas avoir pu en faire plus aujourd'hui, je suis pas très bon flic, hein.
It's not my job to evaluate your methodology, officer. I'm just going through. We weren't able to find the union leader, Everard Clare, much less interview him. So that's on the to-do list for two. We didn't talk to the Wild Pines rep. We really must do that tomorrow. Above all, though, today was exhausting. What's with all the running? You run a lot. Is that a standard Precinct 41 practice?
J'aime pas trop perdre de temps, vous savez, mon esprit est agile, le reste doit essayer de suivre. Je m'entraîne pour une course de fonds, je veux collecter des fonds pour une association créative. Bah, c'est comme ça qu'on fait au créatin.
It's impressive, especially for a man your age. And in those hills.
Des talons, mais n'importe quoi.
Nice shoes, by the way. I like the green. Goes with the orange.
Ouais, bah... Quels sont les pouvoirs de
They're
l'MCM?
quite limited, actually. The power officers of the Revachol Citizens Militia exercise most frequently is imposing fines of up to 1,000 real for offenses.
1000, c'est tout?
With an interdepartmental schedule. The RCM's primary role is to ensure safety. We are not really supposed to play any part in the economic
C'est pas un
structure.
pouvoir dont il serait facile d'abuser.
Yes, although indirectly, as citizens can always request. Officers of the RCM have been known to take bribes of less than the prescribed fine amount. It undermines trust in the RCM. We can arrest people, of course, but rather than bringing someone in directly, it's preferable to serve a station call slip. It prevents confusion and overcrowding.
Comment on pourrait...
You can't. Those who don't show up become fugitives, though, and have fewer legal rights when they are eventually caught. It's about power projection. Thus far, as you may have gathered from the fact that we are expected to carry a record of our kills, like the one in your watermarks, we are permitted to use whatever force is necessary, and strongly admonished not to abuse that power.
Tu tues quelqu'un en service.
You have to supply compelling evidence for why it was necessary to use lethal force. In these cases, your partner is usually your witness. Not a good position to be in, by the way. Internal Affairs handles these cases thoroughly, by cross-examining you for inconsistencies. It is hard to cover for anyone, which is for the best.
Et qu'est-ce qui arrive aux personnes qu'on condamne?
We don't convict. We arrest and send them to coalition government courts in Couron and La Delta. The prosecution works off our testimonies and records, which is the coalition government and the moral intern. The RCM was formed by the coalition government to restore order in the international zone after the revolution. So we did. Now we attempt to maintain that order. No more, no less. Or perhaps it is better to say we were allowed to form. It's a point of contention whether the citizens of Revachol or the coalition government founded the RCM. Be sentimental if you like. Either way, the
Pas
Maryland
sentimental.
to keep the peace in this city, and they will take
Communiste.
it away if we misuse it.
Or if they think you do.
C'est quoi le
The
Moralist?
Moralists International are the world's largest political organization. You know who they are. They have been running this place after the revolution failed.
Si je ne savais pas comment l'écrivez-vous.
They're a union of center-left and center-right parties across the Real Belt. Our coalition government is just one of its many projects. They also run the ICP, EPIS. Most
Pourquoi croient-ils?
What do they believe in? They are Dolorians. They believe they continue the humanist project set forth by Her Innocence Dolores Day 4 centuries ago. Others say they are just technocrats.
Those others say they continue the humanist project set forth by Dolores Day.
Quel est leur symbole?
Interesting question. It's a blue forget-me-not. Their motto is love, compassion, self-discipline. I think you can gauge what they want you to think of them from that.
Something kind and you something almost self-explanatory. Something like the dark blue, serious color of the early night sky above.
Qu'était Dolores
A
Day?
historic figure? The author of the modern age? You will have to look elsewhere for opinions. The subject of humanism is too abstract for me.
Que pensez-vous d'eux?
The moral intern are a fact. I try not to have opinions on facts until they change. And it doesn't look like that's about to happen.
J'ai un avis sur les morales internes.
Do you?
Le lieutenant arque le sourcil puis lui tire une bouffée sur la cigarette blanche finie entre ses doigts. Ça craint dans ces villes, montre la ville de doigt. On a besoin d'eux ici comme ça, ils pourraient nous donner le droit de fliquer Rachel. Ils ont merdé ici, vous avez vu cet endroit, ce n'est pas de l'humanisme. Nous sommes les armes de la plus grande organisation bourgeoise du monde qui protège les droits de la bourgeoisie. Je gagnerai 4 points d'XP là, non?
No. We are stooges of the world's biggest bourgeois.
Oh, succès déverrouillé,
People of-
architecte du
That's
communisme,
the hand
yes.
we were dealt. Without the MI, we would be common vigilantes. Then you will adore Martinez. For many of these people, the Union especially, vigilantes is precisely what we are. Personally, I don't enjoy it much.
The dying lights of the city shimmer below. Slowly, like luminous clouds, they pass on his lenses. The lieutenant looks at his slim cigarette, contemplating the next drag.
They really don't like us here. And the mouth on that kid, Kuno. It's different. It's our fault for leaving this place to the dogs, to the Union, to the company. Not daring to come here more often.
Et j'aimerais que le
Like we run this.
PIGA.
West of the river is RCM land.
Et regarde la sélection du monument qu'est-ce qui se découpe dans le ciel nocturne.
It's incredibly hard. Human beings are... But we are in control, and it's worth it. The organization works. Our systems work. If they didn't, the city would disintegrate.
J'espère que l'enquête continuera à améliorer la situation ici, à faire de moins un
Me
peu de
too.
bien.
But I wouldn't count on any drastic changes in our lifetimes.
He is very tired, but the dark circles under his eyes make him look.
Yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go.
Encore un niveau supérieur. Mais il y a tellement de statues, quoi. Peut-être économisé pour le moment, non? Qu'est-ce que ça fait déjà? Avec mon développeur, rien ne vous écarte du droit chemin. Si l'aventure vous est... Si l'aventure vous est sur le point de vous relâcher, elle vous rappelle alors dans le genre rabat-joie. Mais si votre douleur est faible, vous aurez le moral dans les chaussettes et les flics à la dérive commettent des erreurs, paraît qu'ils le mènent au fond du trou. Autorité. Exige le respect le moindre affront tel réel ou à supposer vous avez fait péter du rythme. Vous avez une autorité faible, vous continuez à émailler de situations embarrassantes. Les moqueries d'un groupe d'ados suffisent à vous plonger dans une vraie détresse psychologique. Clair au survient. Ah oui, frisson. Ok, je sais pas. En vrai, je sais pas. Bon. On va s'arrêter là pour ce soir, parce que je vais prendre un coup de barre. Coup de barre. Petite session de 2 heures, c'est du bien. Avant, là, on a pu avancer sur la quête principale, par contre. Voilà. Première nuit, on va tous aller se coucher. Moi, ici, je vais me coucher. En tout cas, je vous fais des gros bisous, YouTube. N'hésite pas à venir, à passer dire bonjour sur le live. Tchou!